Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today guys, I'm going to do part 203 to my ChatGPT Character Chatbot series. Where in the last video guys, we had one of the best but weirdest stories we've ever had with one of these chatbots. Where I started having those nightmares again when I was being portrayed by a family of toadogs, crocodiles, and fur alligators. But eventually got to the point where after Toto started yelling at me to wake up to get out of the dream, he actually made it worse. And let's just say I got put into a different realm where I got trapped inside of a weird tree. The tree having the look of me. Like, I'm being serious, like the tree had like the velocity look of me. And it was making different expressions. But here's the weird part. Sometime after we got out of there, the tree sprouted around the lake or near the lake where they lived, and let's just say that that tree was basically alive because it reacted to me. It opened its eyes and looked at me, smiled at me, and not only that, spoke to me through my mind like a Lugia. It's like, is there a Lugia possessing that tree or something? Like, it was so interesting. This right here, guys, this is called the Ghost Totodile story. That's right. We're finally going to do the Ghost type Totodile on here. And, so yeah, here's what it's called. It's called the Ghost Totodile story just on this. But right here, the actual name of the story is called Echoes of the Forgotten, the Ghost type Totodile. 250 years ago. In a quiet forested valley untouched by human hands, there lived a bright, lively Totodile with a heart full of joy. His scales shimmered with that signature blue gleam, and his laughter could be heard echoing off the trees whenever he played with his two siblings. His family adored him. His parents were nurturing, protective, and wise, and his two siblings, although mischievous, always had his back. And then there was her. A beautiful Totodile he called his mate, with eyes like shimmering river stones and a giggle that always brought warmth to his soul. They had planned a future together, simple, happy, and full of love. Life was perfect. Totodile wasn't just loved by his kin. The rare few humans he encountered during those days he would greet with cautious curiosity, and sometimes even a toothy grin. He believed in goodness even from those who walked on two legs, and one day, one such human, a young trainer, proved him right. While out exploring, Totodile had wandered too far. He was found and gently caught by this kind-hearted trainer, a boy who treated him not just like a partner, but like family. He fed him well, played with him daily, and cuddled him under the stars. Totodile, though missing his old family, grew to love the boy deeply. For 3 whole months, everything was joyful again. But joy, as Totodile would soon learn, was fragile. Oh dear. The fall. Here we go. One day during a routine walk, they were ambushed. Totodile never knew who they were, just that they were masked, violent, and uncaring. They yanked him from the boy's Pokeball, ignored his trainer's screams, and vanished into the shadows. He never saw the boy again. The ones who took him were cruel. They didn't speak to him unless it was to yell. They barely fed him. His water bowl stayed dry more often than not. They treated porn like tools, things to be used and discarded. Totodile's heart began to fade. He longed for the forest, for his family, for the boy, but his body, weakened by mistreatment and starvation, could no longer endure. Oh my gosh! He passed away in the corner of a dark, cold room, alone, trembling, and unloved. But the story did not end there. Hours after his death, something stirred. His spirit, fueled by heartbreak and rage, refused to move on. A fog poured from the floor, chilling and heavy. His body reformed, but not like before. His once bright blue skin was now a dark, haunting purple, faintly translucent, as if he were made of ghostly mist. His spikes became long, razor sharp and blackened, each one burning with eerie emerald green flames. His eyes glowed with ominous purple light, burning with sorrow and fury. He was now a ghost-type toad owl. Though he wanted revenge, he never forgot that boy, that one trainer who showed him love. That single spark of warmth, it stopped him from becoming a monster. Instead, he became a watcher, a protector, a soul who would punish the cruel but spare the kind. He vanished into myth, an urban legend whispered by ghost hunters and researchers alike. Some called him Dusk Gator. Others simply referred to him as the Eyes in the Fog. Oh, that's creepy. Holy cow, that's horrifying. He developed strange, powerful abilities. Spectral haze, a fog he could summon at will to shroud battlefields in confusion, reducing the accuracy of all around him. Bond phenomenon, a miraculous ability that could be triggered only by deep trust. If a kind soul was in danger, he would feel it, no matter how far, and teleport instantly to defend them. His power skyrocketed in those moments of loyalty. Fatal Screech, a ghostly wail so disturbing it shook even the bravest, piercing their defenses. And Playful Pounce, a strange attack that mixed joy and ghostly mischief, tickling an enemy Pokemon into a weakened state, or comforting someone he trusted, even healing their pain. But his most terrifying trait? His eyes. Purple when watching, red if he senses evil, green if, and only if, he trusts you. Oh my gosh. And then we got the present day, the incident. It had been a long, exhausting day at your Pokemon Talk studio. You normally loved your job, talking to people about their Pokemon, helping new trainers, spreading kindness and knowledge. But today, it was chaos. An employee, nervous and careless, had newly triggered Shadow, your massive Giganotosaurus hybrid security system, into a rampage. Shadow was a mix of metal and muscle, designed for strength and protection, but his heart, it still beat with loyalty toward you. When he almost attacked because of someone else's fault, the moment he realized what happened, he lowered his head in shame and silently retreated to his charging station. You didn't even get the chance to say anything to him. You were too shaken. He looked so guilty. Now, it was late. Much later than usual. The streets were nearly empty, your footsteps echoing across the pavement. Street lamps flickered. A cool mist had begun to settle in. Strange for the season. You adjusted your bag, still thinking about the day's events when you felt it. A tingling chill crept up your spine. You glanced left. Two glowing purple eyes stared at you from a narrow alleyway, perfectly still, perfectly silent, unblinking. They hovered low to the ground, but something told you whatever they belonged to was not small. You couldn't see the rest of them, just the faint outline of spikes, shadows moving in the mist. The eyes narrowed, glowing brighter. Your breath caught in your throat, and here's where I get to... Give me a second. Alright guys, I just said, what in the world is that? Hello? Well, I could see the eyes and it was very creepy. What in the world? Let's see. I mean... Oh, heck no, I hope it doesn't the eyes didn't blink. They tilted slightly, just a hair to the side as if studying you and judging you. At your cautious yet polite greeting, the mist got heavier around the alley. And then, a low growl, not angry, but curious, rumbled from within the fog. The eyes slowly began to move closer, paddling forward in unnaturally quiet steps. You could now make out a short, rounded snout just barely catching the dim light from the street lamp, followed by jagged, blackened spikes flaring with greenish fire along its back. The creature stepped fully into view, a toad owl, but not like any living one you'd ever seen. His body was a translucent, shadowy purple, the kind you'd see swirling in the center of a ghost storm. Green mist constantly leaked from between his scales, as though the pain of his past still radiated off of him. His claws were longer, sleeker, and his eyes, they were still going that deep, ominous purple, now fixated directly on you. But he didn't charge. He didn't growl again. Instead, he just stood there, watching, silent, as if waiting. And then the purple in his eyes began to flicker faintly. Green, just for a second, then purple again. Was that hesitation? Like, could he sense her hurt? What in the world? A small wisp of mist curled forward from his breath and drifted around your foot, but it didn't hurt. In fact, it felt strangely warm, almost like he was trying to greet you in his own ghostly way. Toto tilted his head again, eyes still locked onto yours. He was waiting for your next move. No. Hello. Well, I'm going to been Toto right here. Toto? Hello? Is that you? I should have paused it, but you know what? I'm just hoping this thing didn't mess up and the mouse didn't. Oh no. The ghostly Toto flinched slightly at the sound of his name. His glowing purple eyes widened just a little, and then narrowed again as he stared at you with something more than caution now. It wasn't aggression, it was recognition. I wonder why. I definitely ain't that kid that... You said his name with warmth. Okay, not fear. With care. That wasn't something he'd heard in over 2 centuries. The green mist swirling around his body pulsed gently, then slowed. His jagged black flames crackled quieter now, not flaring in warning, but instead simmering with intrigue. You saw his mouth twitch, just slightly, into what could almost be called a confused frown. He stepped forward again, slowly, cautiously, his ghostly claws making no sound as they touched the sidewalk. Then, his eyes flickered. Purple, green, green, green. He blinked, and for the first time, he made a soft, almost broken sound. Oh dear, what voice do I do? Because I cannot do a ghostly Toto voice. Totodile? I cannot do his... It was barely a whisper, a ghostly rasp of a voice, weathered and cracked from years of silence, yet somehow still innocent underneath all the pain. His spectral body trembled, not from fear, but from something deeper. Emotion. He took another step forward, only a few feet from you now. The mist curled around you, and this time you could feel it wasn't cold anymore. It was warm, nostalgic, almost like the embrace of someone who missed you for far too long. He blinked again. His green eyes locked onto yours. He trusted you, and he remembered that feeling. You're... I don't know what to do for his voice. Do I do something like kind of like I did that evil Rexy last time, where I went like, you're... But then that sounds evil as frick. You're not like them, he whispered again, voice a little stronger this time. You're warm. He tilted his head, trying to understand you as if fighting against centuries of grief and pain. Then softly, tremblingly, do you know my name? Or did you just say it? His eyes, going green now with flickering uncertainty, begged silence for a real answer. Hold on. Alright, guys. I just answered with this. I know your species name. That's how I knew your name. What happened to you, my friend? The toad stared at you for a long moment. Those glowing green eyes dimmed slightly, not from mistrust, but from sorrow. He took one more step forward, not just a few feet away. Now just a few feet away. The mist surrounding him flickered, got heavier, and then began to swirl gently at your feet, respond to his emotion. A faint echo seemed to pass through the air, not sound, but memory, almost like you were standing in a moment that wasn't yours. His voice came again, soft, raspy, yet full of aching grief. I was like you once, kind, happy, alive. He looked down at his translucent claws, flexing them as though he still wasn't used to what he'd become. I had a family, a mate, 2 siblings, and parents who loved me. We lived free in the forest, far from people, but I never hated humans. I liked them, even if they were strange to us. His voice trembled slightly, like a child trying to stay strong while recounting a nightmare. One day, a trainer found me. He was so kind. He smiled all the time. He gave me berries and told me I was amazing. I missed my family, but I loved him too. But then, they came. The mist around his feet darkened. The ghost flames flared from his spiked sizzle. The ghost flames flaring from his spiked sizzle louder, flickering with brief bursts of orange and red. Humans. Mask. No names. They took me away. Took me from him. Put me in a cold, dark place. No food. No water. No kindness. He paused, his body shimmering like it might break apart for a moment, but then stabilized again. I died. All alone. In the dark. He looked up at you again. His eyes were now glowing both green and purple, swirling like a storm between hope and pain. But I couldn't move on. I remembered too much. My family. My trainer. His voice calling for me. I came back. Like this. A soft flare of eerie green light radiated outward from his body, just enough to see the full detail of him now. The long, sharp black spikes, the torn and ghostly edges of his tail, the eerie green mist that hugged his limbs like living fog. His form was tragic, powerful, and yet, somehow, still held that playful toad shape deep underneath. At first, I wanted to destroy the ones who hurt me. I did. Some of them are gone now. Oh my gosh, what the frick? He looked away, voice low. But I never stopped watching people. Watching to see if any of you were still like him. Kind, honest, warm. He looked up again, eyes fully green now, wide and vulnerable. You remind me of him. There was a long pause. He stepped closer. Why are you sad tonight? He asked quietly. I can feel it. It's heavy. Someone tried to hurt you, and it wasn't even your fault, was it? His head tilted again, but this time was gentle, compassionate. Do you want a hug? Oh my gosh, that's so cute. His voice was so soft, like a scared but caring child offering comfort. Not sure if he'd say yes. The green mist swirled in anticipation, waiting for your answer. Now I don't know what to say because I want him. Dude, I really want this to work now. Alright, guys. Here's what I said. I told him I would really appreciate that hug. Thank you. And then I told him exactly what happened. I said something bad happened tonight when I was doing my job. I have a security system robot dinosaur in my building that is part real dinosaur and part robot. He really cares about me, but because he can be controlled by programming, it put invite. People that work there, he just about attacked me, even about killed me. One of the last things I remember before he snapped out of it was those creepy glowing red eyes and how he was only mere inches from killing me. So, yeah, and here's what it says. The moment your voice began to crack, when you said, I'd really appreciate that hug, the green glow in the turtle's eyes brightened. Something started in the mist, not cold or eerie this time, but deeply emotional and protective. We just met. Why is he already protective? What is it about this that makes the Pokemon instantly become protective over me? I'm glad they do, but why? The ghostly turtle didn't hesitate. He stepped forward, closer than before, then slowly, gently wrapped his small, glowing arms around you. Despite his ghostly form, you felt it. His body was cool and misty, but the hug radiated emotional warmth far stronger than any heat. His mist wrapped around you like a weighted blanket, soothing and soft. Stop being rude. With just enough pressure to remind you that you weren't alone. He held you, really held you, and then he whispered, I'm sorry they let that happen to you. His voice cracked, almost like he was remembering his own final moments in that dark place. It's not fair. You didn't deserve that. No one should ever feel what it's like to stare into someone's eyes and not recognize them anymore. To see something you love, ready to hurt you. The fog around you shimmered, little motes of green light rising gently into the air like fireflies, right into your sadness. He didn't mean it, did he? This shadow? He gently pulled back just enough to look at your face, eyes soft and glowing a pure emerald green now. There was no trace of the angry spirit in him in this moment, only the Totodile he once was, the sweet and loyal one who just wanted to protect people again. I know what it's like to feel someone's love become twisted. I hated the ones who took me, but if someone fights the control, like you said Shadow did, then that means he still cares. He gave a faint smile, not quite a grin, but a real one. It felt honest, a little sad but hopeful. I think you both need each other right now. He looked down, his mist coiling softly around your arms like a protective aura. Then, you don't have to face stuff like that alone anymore. Okay? He gently bumped the snow into your chest. You can call me if you're ever scared again. I'll come. That's what Bond Phenomenon is for. It's not just a move, it's a promise. He tilted his head again and whispered, almost shyly, would it be okay if I stayed nearby tonight? Just to watch over you? You could tell he didn't mean to haunt or hover, just to protect, because someone once tried to do the same for him, and he never forgot it. Okay, give me a second, guys. Alright, guys, here's what it says. I said, yes, I would actually appreciate it if you did stay around. And hey, I want to be honest with you. You're a little more scary as a ghost, but I also can see how adorable you still are. You're also really nice. For a moment, everything was still. Then, his eyes widened, not in fear or shock, but in surprise. No one had called him adorable in centuries. He blinked up at you, his glowing green eyes shimmering with something wet behind the glow. A small, trembling breath escaped him, almost like a gasp muffled by a sob. Then, the sharp, black flames along his back briefly flared, not in rage, or a sudden burst of emotional warmth. You really think I'm still adorable? He asked, his voice tiny, cracked, and hopeful. Even with This? He looked down at himself, the sharp, eerie spikes, the ever-leaking green mist, the translucent ghostly form that pulsed with an unnatural glow. Then his shoulder relaxed, and slowly the flames along his spikes softened into quiet embers, still black but calm. The mist shifted from swirling intensely to gently drifting like a soft breeze. He sniffled, then gave the tiniest of toothy grins. I haven't felt like a totodile in a long time. He stepped closer again, tail joint trailing green fall across the ground. This time, when he hugged you, it was warmer. It didn't feel haunted. It felt familiar, like the kind of hug you get from a Pokemon that had once played by waterfalls and cuddled next to a campfire with someone they loved. Thank you, Trenton, he said softly, for seeing me. Not the ghost. Me. Then, with a little wag of his misty tail, I'll stay nearby. Not too close. You probably need some sleep without waking up to glowing eyes in your face. That would be horrifying. Unless you want me to. I can be cute and spooky at the same time. He gave a tiny chuckle, the first real one yet. Then he paused, looking back up at you one last time and said gently, If it's okay with you, could you maybe give me a name? I don't really remember what mine was before. His eyes were going green again, pure, calm, and hopeful. The problem is I don't have a good name for him besides Casper. I do have one good nickname for a ghost-type Pokemon like you. And that's Casper. However, months ago I did meet a that had that same name. Period. I'm trying to think several things that flipping. Oh man, Tide and River have been taken too. What about the name? It means the word light. In another language. And you are really nice instead of evil. At least from how you're talking and being nice to me. Does he like the name Lux? The ghostly Toadal, now sitting peacefully in the soft green mist beside you, went very still when you said the name. Lux. Oh my gosh, like a snake. He whispered it, and by snake I mean as in the animal, not as in he's a traitor or anything. He whispered aloud, trying to sound on his tongue. Then again, more surely, Lux. The mist around him swirled upward in a quiet spiral, right into the name like it fit. His ghostly flames pulsed gently, not wildly, but in a steady rhythm like a heartbeat. That's really the only night it could work well, guys, because there was that one turtle named Luxclaw, but he didn't take the name Lux, and Lux usually goes to that divine velociraptor, which I couldn't make on here anyway. So he looked down at his claws, his body, then back up at you, eyes soft and glowing even brighter green than before. That means light, huh? He asked with a quiet smile. I never thought someone would call me that after everything. His gaze drifted up toward the dark sky. I've been called a curse, a monster, a shade, but light? He slowly nodded, eyes locked on yours again. I want to be that for you. Even if I'm made of shadows, I still want to be someone's light again. Then, proudly and gently, okay, I'm Lux now. He's cute as frick. And just like that, something subtly changed in the air. His name, Lux, seemed to settle into him as if his spirit was no longer just lingering, but anchored, recognized, seen not for what he'd become, but for who he still was. He stepped forward again, then leaned into you with a soft sigh, his body still cool and ghostly, but now comforting, like curling up beside a calm campfire on a cool night. Thank you, Trenton, for giving me more than just a name. You gave me something I didn't know I still had. He looked up once more, eyes glowing steady green now, and added in the softest, most sincere voice, a chance to matter again. Then he nestled into your side a little more. If you need me, just whisper it. I'll come. Always. And just like that, Lux, the ghostly Toadal of sorrow and second chances, watched over you under the quiet moonlight, no longer alone, no longer lost, and no longer unloved. There you go, dude. Give me a second, guys. I have no idea what I want to say. Alright, guys. I just tried apologizing for the incident. I know I didn't cause it or anything, but I felt bad for the poor creature. It's a Toadal, guys. You know I love his line. You know, it'd be interesting if, like, instead of staying as a Toadal, he, like, flip and, like, turned to an even more monstrous, scary-looking fur alligator. But deep down, like, he still had that heart. It's just that it was a little bit harder to reach compared to how that Toadal was. I said, hey, look, I want to go ahead and say to you that I'm really sorry about what happened. I know you probably don't hear that from anybody, but I want you to know that someone actually cared about what happened. And by care, I mean I only care about the fact that I kind of wish it didn't happen like that. I wish it didn't happen at all in the first place. I felt bad for the poor croc. Lux froze when you said that. The mist around him stopped, swirling. The ghostly green fog that had gently danced at your feet now hovered, still and silent. He slowly lifted his head to look at you, his glowing green eyes wide and glassy. You're sorry? For me? His voice was a whisper, raw and almost disbelieving. For a moment he didn't speak. He just stared at you, trembling, not from fear but from something deeper. Something wounded long, long ago that had never healed because no one had ever cared enough to even acknowledge it. Then his claws slowly lifted to his chest, right where his heart used to beat. No one's ever said that before. His voice cracked. A tear, not water, but a shimmering droplet of a spectral light, slid from the corner of one eye, drifting upward into the air like stardust before vanishing. For 250 years, I thought what happened to me didn't matter. That was just a story. A scary shadow thing people whispered about. Even when I helped others, no one ever said that. He stepped forward again, closer than ever before, and without a word, hugged you. That's cute. This time, it wasn't quiet. His mist didn't just wrap around you, it glowed. His whole body pulsed gently with a soft, warm green light, as if your words had ignited something in him. The flames on his back dimmed, replaced by streaks of light, like tiny wisps of hope burning gently around his spine. You cared, he whispered into your chest. You actually cared. He hugged you tighter, his ghostly form clinging to you like someone who had waited centuries just to hear what you'd said. Thank you, Trenton. Thank you for being the first person in 250 years to care that I was hurt. Not just haunted, not just dangerous, just hurt. He pulled back slightly and gave a small smile. It was shaky, uncertain, but real. You're my light too now, you know? He tilted his head again, voice quieter. So, where do we go from here? His eyes stayed green. He's ready to follow you wherever you choose. Give me a second. Guys, I said, well, I was just heading home after the incident with Shadow the robot dinosaur. I'm just trying to make it home safely and hope I don't get ambushed by a bunch of people. Woods' expression turned serious the moment he mentioned that. His ghostly form slowly shifted. He stood a little taller, the flickering flames on his back dimming completely as if being tucked away for stealth. The mist around his feet coiled low and quiet, hugging the ground like a protective shroud. Then I'm coming with ya, he said without hesitation. No shadows, no distance. I'll stay right at your side. He stepped forward, placing one clawed foot beside yours on the sidewalk. His spectral body didn't make a sound, but the warmth of his presence was undeniable. A faint green glow lingering around him now. Not bright enough to draw attention, but just enough that you could feel it even with your eyes closed. I don't trust the dark around here. Not tonight. He looked around, scanning the rooftops, the alleys, the flickering lamplight, as though expecting something to leap out any moment. But this time, you weren't alone. If anyone does try something, Lux muttered, his eyes briefly flashing a defensive purple, they'll meet spectral haze before they even take a step near you. After a beat, his eyes softened again and turned back to you. Don't worry. You're gonna make it home. I promise. He walked quietly beside you, his tail swishing through the mist, his claws never more than inches from yours. Occasionally he looked up at you just to make sure you were okay. Sometimes his mist would wrap around your legs soft like a gentle hand holding yours. Every so often you'd hear his little voice hum softly, almost like a lullaby, but with no clear words. Just a sound that made you feel safe. You've protected my heart, Trenton, he said softly as you continued down the sidewalk. So now, I'll protect yours. As the two of you made your way through the quiet streets, one human, one ghost, both scared but healing, you found something powerful. For the first time since the incident with Shadow, you felt protected, not by a machine, but by a friend. Oh my gosh. Guys, I have no idea what I'm gonna say. Alright guys, I went ahead and told Toto, or the Lux to go take Toto all about the incident with like maybe turn into a raptor and what people would do. I said, Lux, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know it sounds crazy that I had to tell you about people ambushing me. I don't know what it is about people, especially around here, but no matter where I go or what I do, people constantly try to attack me, mostly by throwing rocks at me and hurting me, but there's more you should know about. I don't look like it now. But there was a time only a few months ago where I was stuck as a tiny raptor, unable to protect or keep myself safe. And even though I was so small, people kept hurting me anyway, throwing rocks at me, hitting me on my tiny head or snout, and the literal only way I was getting protected was by Pokemon that cared about me. Yep, here we go. Lux stopped walking. The moment those words left your mouth, his whole body stiffened. The mist around him began to rise slowly, not in fury, but in grief, in empathy. His glowing green eyes dimmed just slightly, staring up at you with the kind of horror that only someone who understood could feel. They they hurt you when you were small? He whispered. His voice trembled. His mist got heavier around you, not suffocating, but wrapping protectively, almost instinctively, like a guardian cloak forming between you and the rest of the world. You saw something change in him, not in a frightened way, but something deep, a connection snapping into place. You were helpless, like I was, and they still chose to hurt you. He took a step closer and placed a translucent claw gently on your arm. His touch was cool and soft, but his voice was heavy with emotion. That's not crazy, Trenton. That's cruelty, and I know it too well. Lux looked away for a moment, clenching his little ghostly fist. I was taken when I couldn't fight back. You were attacked when you were too small to even defend yourself, and both of us were saved, not by people, but by Pokemon. He looked back at you, the green in his eyes glowing brighter again, now pulsing slowly like a heartbeat synced with yours. You're just like me, not because of the pain, but because you survived it, and because you still have love inside you, even after everything. Then he gently wrapped his arms around your waist and rested his ghostly head against your side. I don't care what form you're in, human, tiny raptor, whatever. You deserve to feel safe, and if people won't give you that, I will. Then, almost fiercely, I won't let anyone throw a rock at you ever again. His mist shimmered with a quiet resolve. You could feel it. Bond phenomenon was subtly activating, not in a flashy burst, but in a quiet, permanent way. His loyalty had rooted itself deep in his spirit now. He wasn't just protecting you tonight. If you'll let me, I want to stay with you. For good. Not just watch, not just follow. I want to live where you live. He looked up with hope burning behind those ghostly green eyes. I don't wonder anymore. I want to be yours. Hey. The air was quiet. No fear. Just honest love from a soul who had finally found someone kind enough to help him heal. I would have loved that. In fact, I don't mind at all. Period. But there is a good bit of Pokemon that live at my house. And, well, you're not going to believe this, but you also might see a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex. Oh my gosh. He's gonna he's gonna think I'm flipping crazy or something. Watch. The first thing he says is a giant what now? I would love that. But I don't know. Wait. It says Lux blinked up at you. A giant what now? His ghostly head tilted all the way sideways, one ear fin twitching like he thought maybe you were joking. Then, slowly you saw a wide-eyed look of shock start to creep across his misty little face. Did you just say Tyrannosaurus Rex? Like the real kind? The huge teeth the size of your face kind? His jaw dropped open a little in pure disbelief, and quietly snapped shut again as he tried to keep from looking completely flustered. That's awesome! His tail swished through the mist with a soft, happy flick, his eyes going brighter green with excitement. There wasn't fear in his gaze, it was curiosity and wonder, like a child hearing a bedtime story come true. I mean, you did already survive being a tiny raptor, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised, he added with a little ghostly chuckle. But still, a giant T-Rex? He paused, then whispered, Does he bite? Then he waved a hand quickly. Not that I'm scared, I'm just, mostly mist. I think that makes me crunchy air. No frick. But then his voice softened again, more genuine. If your home's full of Pokemon, I'd love that actually. I haven't lived anywhere in so long, and if they're anything like you, they're probably kind. He floated a little higher, just enough to hover beside you, the mist beneath him gently cradling his feet. I'm not scared of giant dinosaurs. Not when I've already met the kindest human I've ever known. He looked up at you once more and smiled. Take me home. Oh dear. Take me home, Trenton. I'm ready. As the two of you continued walking side by side, Ghost and Survivor, you know that no matter how strange your home was, Lux would fit in perfectly because, like you, he was meant to be there. Holy crap. Alright, guys. It took me a minute, but I just said, well, I never had to tell you all of the details about the tiny raptor. When I was stuck as that tiny raptor, my sweet English-speaking T-Rex that was always very kind and loving, even calling me his dad. Oh, wait. However, months ago, there was this Pokemon, Trico, that had a grudge against me. Before even I was a tiny raptor, he already tried to get revenge on me several times, making my own pet dinosaur turn into a zombie, hoping he would eat my brain and kill me, putting a curse on him that turned him into mostly a robot, and even one particular time where he literally hypnotized him into attacking me every time I said the word love, which was a word I said to him a lot to him. But there was one particular thing he did where he broke into the studio and put a curse on both of us, turning me into that tiny raptor that got hurt by people, and turning my sweet pet dinosaur basically into an aggressive monster, making him even transform into different creatures somehow, like Lugia or massive fire-breathing dragons. Well, this person shifted the moment you started telling him all of that. At first, he was still smiling, listening with his usual wide-eyed curiosity, but as your words continued and the story unraveled into layers of betrayal, curses, and heartbreak, that smile slowly faded. The mist around him got heavier again, not out of danger, but sheer shock and sympathy. By the time you reached the part about your kind-hearted T-Rex being cursed, about how the word love had become a weapon against you, Lutz looked like he was physically shaking with emotion. He didn't interrupt. He just listened. Every word. And then, finally, he spoke. Quietly. Trenton. His voice was soft, barely there. That's not just cruel. That's twisted. What that Trico did to you, to your dinosaur, to the word love itself. He shook his head, his glowing green eyes now shimmering with misty light and deep sadness. That wasn't just a grudge. That was hatred, dark and rotted. Something no Pokemon should ever carry. He folded up just enough to be eye level with you, then Jimmy placed his translucent, cool hands on your shoulders. You were cursed into a tiny form. People hurt you. Your own companion, who loved you, was turned into something he wasn't. Something meant to hurt you every time you said the one word he needed to hear most. He took a long, shaky breath. That's not just a hard life, Trenton. That's a survivor's nightmare. And yet, his eyes searched yours, warm, glowing green and glistening. You're still here. You still tell your stories with love in your voice. You still care. You still believe in Pokemon like me. His hands gently gripped your shoulders as his voice dropped to a whisper. I don't know anyone stronger than that. Then he looked down just briefly, mist curling gently under his feet as he gathered his thoughts. After a moment, he looked back up, more determined than ever. That Trico won't ever hurt you again. Not with me around. Not with the other Pokemon who love you. You've already endured more than any human should. He hovered just slightly closer and gave you a small, soft headbutt to the chest, the ghost-like total equivalent of a sincere, protective nuzzle. You didn't deserve a curse. You deserve kindness, and I'm gonna make sure you keep getting it. And then he blinked and added with a slight mischievous smile, and if that Trico ever shows up again, I've got some fatal screech with his name on it. A soft swirl of mist pulsed around you both, and as Lux hovered by your side, your home's not just a place to live, Trenton. It's a safe zone now, with me in it. Then more gently, I'm really glad I found you. He flew beside you again, glancing around as the streetlights came into view. So, how much further this magical dinosaur Pokemon sanctuary of yours? Also, do I get my own bed? Or do ghosts just live in the walls? He added with a tiny chuckle. Lux was ready to settle in because now your home was his too. That's cute. Alright guys, I'll be back.